911. What is your emergency?
The 12-year-old is completely out of control, and I can't, physically, if she's as big as I am, I can't control her.
Between 2006 and 2008, the CDC reported that autism increased by 289%. It became the largest epidemic in the United States, and today it's 1 in 64 kids. So it's rapidly growing, and we're in trouble. My name is Cricket Barrientos. I am the founder of Sounds of Autism. I have a son, Landon, who's now 13, but was diagnosed at around 4 years old. I didn't know what the word autism was. I never heard of the diagnosis before, so when that word started popping up in different conversations with the teachers, I realized this may be bigger than something I even understand. It was about 18 months, we noticed that, I call it deaf-mute. He became deaf-mute, and they started recommending that he gets into the schools and starts doing all these different types of therapies and stuff like that. One of the routines every day, we would get in the car and there was a song that was by Michael Bublé. I would play the song every morning. I think it was about 2 years after we had done that, Landon started humming the song one day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this kid can hear. And he did it in tune. So I was like, wow, and he has an ear for music, which is really cool. A couple of weeks later, after he started humming it, then I started seeing him try to say the words of the song as well. So at that point, we knew he wasn't deaf-mute and we were able to work with him. I mean, as far as a parent raising a child with autism, it is very overwhelming because there's nothing out there giving us instruction or direction as to what we should do to help get these kids to the level they're going to need to be able to survive on their own. Nobody around you understands that you're dealing with autism. So for them, they don't understand when your child's acting out or a certain way. They just think you're a horrible parent, that you did a horrible job raising your kids and they're spoiled or whatever it is, not realizing that, it could be something more to that. With our message, we're hoping that we can really bring awareness to that, and hopefully people will realize, that maybe these kids that they're seeing out in public, especially if it's 1 in 64, they're seeing them every day. So I believe that awareness is probably one of the most important parts of the equation to bring the necessary resources to these kids to get help. And that's how we started really thinking about doing something like Sounds of Autism. In 2011, for whatever reason, I had a coffee cup that was very similar to this one. It would have been on this edge. There was a sesame seed almost to the top of the cup, and it was stuck to the side of the cup. I get grossed out about that kind of stuff, so I was really grossed out that I drank almost all that coffee and that seed was in there. So I took the coffee cup, got up and threw it into the dish pit and went on with my day, and I didn't think anything of it. The next day, I was at home and I noticed as I was getting my coffee that on the countertop, there was another sesame seed. So I picked up my coffee cup, kids were off to school, grabbed my donut, walked out to the backyard, and as I'm walking over to the table, I put the coffee cup down and the donut, and I looked down on the table and there's like 10 sesame seeds like scattered across the table. So I'm like, okay. I look up in the sky and I say, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here, but I'm paying attention, so whatever it is, let me know. The next couple of weeks that continued happening, and every time I'd find a sesame seed or something, somebody would walk into my life and they would start telling me things that I should do, and it all pertained to autism. And I was like, okay, this is really weird. And then at work one day I realized we didn't even have sesame seeds in our restaurant. I started paying really close attention. Well, this man walks into my restaurant one night, so I went over and introduced myself and I said, my server waited on you last night and she was so upset that she didn't take care of you the way she should have, so we just wanted to apologize to you. And he's like, oh, no big deal. So we started talking and he started shaking his head and kind of smiling, and he said, you don't know who I am, but my name's Carlos Galindo. He goes, I'm a Hispanic advocate for the Hispanic community in Arizona. Now, Carlos had no idea that I was finding these seeds or that this stuff was happening to me. So for him, it was just a normal conversation with a person that, and so he said, I think you should start a nonprofit organization for autism. And I looked at him and was like, you're absolutely crazy. I have a lot going on in my life. I don't have time for that. And he goes, if you make time, it'll happen. And I said, you know what, I'm just gonna start a Facebook page and I'm gonna call it Growing with Autism. I waited a couple days, nobody really did anything on the site, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna tell stories about Landon and see how that goes. People, one after the other, started liking and started contributing, and then they started adding friends that had autism, or friends that had families that had autism, or teachers, or, I just started seeing this community starting to come together, where now Growing with Autism's been around since 2011, and we have over 1,300 followers. So there was a lady in Iran that contacted me through Facebook and said that she had a 6-year-old son, and they were moving to Chicago. They had just won the lottery, and they had 7 days to move from Iran to Chicago. And she needed help placing her son once she got to Chicago, and the different resources that would be available to him once they got there. And it was about a week later, 2 weeks later, she reached out to me to let me know they made it, and that she was so thankful for the opportunity that we had given her to help make it an easy transition. And about 2 years later, she posted on Facebook that her son made the honor roll. So I feel like that was one of our biggest success stories of helping, somebody that didn't have the resources available in their country, reaching out to us for our help, and we're able to do that for them. After I did the Facebook page, I stopped finding seeds, and then it started where I would find coins. I would find pennies. That's really what I found. And the penny would have a date on it. Within a couple hours after I would find it, somebody would walk into my life and they would tell me something. And then I'd be like, what year were you born? And the year on the coin would always be of that person's birth year. It happened a couple times, and then I started sharing it with everybody because I was like, there's no way anybody's gonna believe this story. So when I found a coin, I would share it with everybody. The whole restaurant knew. And then once they knew, I would be like, now somebody's gonna walk into my life in the next couple hours, and when they do, be ready because they're gonna tell me something. We need to pay attention to that message. And it started happening to the point where my team believed it so much that they would find coins themselves and run up to me and be like, what does this coin mean? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't read people, I just I have a music background. I played since I was 5 years old, so I thought one of the ways that I could bring the autism to the forefront would be through music. Because Landon learned how to talk through the Michael Bublé song, a lot of the music that I write talks about the beginning stages and what a parent goes through and the emotions, but it also kind of talks a little bit about somebody that's autistic. Autistic kids make a noise, it's called stemming, and they walk back and forth, or they do things that are repetitive to help with the stress and anxiety that they deal with. And for Landon, his was pacing. He would pace back and forth, and he would flap his hands, and he would make this humming noise. And after talking to some of the other parents that have autistic kids, I would say, what is your child's sound of autism or sounds of autism? And they would laugh because they completely understood where I was coming from and what they dealt with too. So Sounds of Autism became a 501c3 in 2012. At that point, we were able to go out and truly fundraise and bring awareness to autism, but also find ways to bring funds so that we could spend our money on helping and supporting the autism community. And with all this money we were raising, we were like, okay, we need to do something. I invented something called Life on a Spectrum. Using the acronym Spectrum, we do a 5-step process. We use SPECT as the 5 steps to become RUM, Responders United to Make a Difference. And I would go out into all kinds of different places and start speaking to police officers, firefighters, teachers, people in the restaurant industry, dentists, doctors, anybody that would listen. I would teach them about how to become what we call a responder of autism. So I feel like with our campaign and what we're doing and going out there and speaking to the community about becoming what we call responders of autism, hopefully it opens their eyes to the situation that we have coming, and they're willing to open their doors or bring awareness or resources to these kids or this family so that they're able to maybe help provide opportunities. So we've done now about 20 presentations, and during those 20 presentations there's 15 times that I know of where somebody has left the presentation and had their child either diagnosed with autism or had realized that their child has autism and got them into the school systems quickly. So I feel like not only are we bringing resources as far as awareness and the different opportunities that parents have, but they see the connection, but they're also learning about the different signs that exist, and a lot of people don't know that. So with this presentation, we've had successes as far as helping families get diagnosed. 2014, our board came together to do our minute meetings, and we talked a little bit about our mission. Our mission was to integrate families back into society through love and support, and said basically if somebody comes to us with an issue or a need, we would raise money, or we would have money set aside to support those families. There was a little boy, his name was Evan McCure, and his mom and dad were on the TV station asking for the community to raise $17,000 for a service dog that Evan needed to be able to attend school every day and not have the stress and anxiety levels that he was at. So immediately I told Kevin that I was interested in supporting this family and I wanted to help, and he's like, you want to help everybody, and that just doesn't work because we don't have those types of funds. And I said, well, I need to do something. We realized that we could do a lot more with the Evan McCure grant by offering each of the families that have a dog the $700 training that would go along with having this dog. Once the dog went to school or was interacting socially, we would be able to go out there and support the family through training others how to work with that child and their dog to be the most successful for that child. Sounds of Autism has been working on producing our first song called My Baby Angel. We'll be releasing the music to support Sounds of Autism sometime next year. To stay connected or continue to support us in our initiative, please visit us at soundsofautism.org or check us out on Facebook. If you're interested in becoming a responder of autism, please reach out to us so we can bring our Life on a Spectrum presentation to your community. Thank you.